In 1956, Father Warret and Jacques performed their daily chores in their church in Tarascon, France. While investigating a disturbance, Warret is raised into the air, set on fire, and burned to death before it terrified Jacques. Following the events at St. Cartha's Monastery, Sister Irene now serves in a convent in Italy. Maurice works at a boarding school in France, where he has befriended a young Irish student named Sophie and her teacher and mother, Kate. Irene has a vision of Maurice asking her to save him. She is dispatched by the cardinal to investigate a series of deaths across Europe, attributed to the demon Valak. Due to her previous experience with the demon, she travels to Tarascon with Sister Deborah, a young novice who expresses her difficulty in accepting miracles, such as the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. Meanwhile, a delivery girl witnesses Valak talking to a possessed Maurice before Valak kills her. At Tarascon, Irene is haunted by Valak and has a strange vision. Deborah tells Irene that she received Warret's rosary from Jacques. At school, Sophie is bullied by classmates and locked in the deconsecrated sealed-off chapel. The bully points out the goat on the mosaic window, claiming the devil appears when the sun shines through and turns the goat's eyes red. One night, the headmistress encounters a possessed Maurice and is killed by Valak. Irene and Deborah travel to Pilatus Papes and meet with a librarian. He explains that Valak was an angel rejected by God, and the emblem on Warret's rosary is the family crest of Saint Lucy, who was martyred by a pagan. Though she was set on fire, she miraculously did not burn. Her eyes were gouged out, but her family recovered them. The librarian suggests the demon is killing Saint Lucy's descendants because it wants this powerful relic, last known to be stored in a former monastery turned winery. The winery then became the present-day boarding school. At the school, Irene and Deborah face off against a fully possessed Maurice. Sophie shows the women the mosaic goat in the chapel, and they use a flashlight to make its eyes glow red. The red light acts as a laser, pointing to where the eyes of Saint Lucy are buried. Irene finds the relic and the mosaic goat vanishes, reappearing in real life as a demonic creature. As the goat attacks the students, Maurice attacks Irene, chases Sophie, and causes the bell tower to collapse. Deborah admits to Irene that she now has faith. Irene uses the relic against Maurice, but he grabs it, causing Valak to appear. Similar to Father Warret, Valak lifts Irene in the air and sets her ablaze. Irene surprisingly does not burn and subsequently realizes she is a descendant of Saint Lucy, able to harness the same power associated with the relic. Irene and Deborah pray the words of institution used in Christian celebrations of the Eucharist, and the old barrels of wine in the room become the blood of Christ from their belief. As the blood soaks Valak, the demon is damned back to hell. The next morning, Irene meets with Maurice, who is seemingly cured. Irene, however, is worried as Maurice leaves with Sophie and Kate. In a post-credits scene, Ed and Lorraine Warren answer a call on their telephone about a haunting. Michael Chaves, who directed The Conjuring 3, made me worried about whether this movie would be as good as the Conjuring and Annabelle movies. But it did meet my expectations, especially in how it looked and how the story was told. At first, the movie is a bit slow, but it gets more exciting as it goes on. There are some really scary moments, a spooky atmosphere, and the music adds to the suspense. The demon nun is still really terrifying. The story happens after the first movie. It's about what happens to Maurice after the demon takes control of him and how Sister Irene has to go back to the monastery to stop the scary thing. Even though the movie didn't scare me so much that I couldn't sleep, it's still a good horror movie. The actors, especially Tessa Farmiga and the rest of the cast, did a great job. It's definitely worth watching. This sequel is much better than the first one, and it makes me want to see the other movies in the series. For a scary movie, The Nun 2 has everything I wanted. Even though the story is a bit silly and takes some time to get going, there are scary moments every 5 to 10 minutes, and the details and special effects are impressive. Bonnie Aarons did a fantastic job playing Valak, and I can't imagine anyone else doing it better. Reed and Farmiga also did great, which makes the movie's silliness easier to enjoy, at least for me. Overall, I think The Nun 2 is a great movie, and it does justice to the first one. It's probably the best of the Conjuring movies I've seen. and I can't wait to see the others. And it's the scariest. I love horror movies, and this one quickly became my favorite when it ended. I definitely recommend it, and I'd give it 4.5 out of 5 stars.